Joe, are you excited to be back? Sure. This is so fun. These storylines are great. Oh God,
must be thrilling for the listener.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm assuming that the listeners. Well, let's keep in mind that the most recent review we got was someone saying that they can't wait for me to just fully give in to the fact that I love the OC. And I was so close, Joe. I was getting there. Season 2 was winning me over. These episodes, Jesus Christ. We're talking about episode 11 of season 2, The Second Chance. My first note is I hate this Rebecca plotline so much. My second note is I also hate the Zach and Seth doing a comic starring Summer plotline. It is just bad storyline after bad storyline. I would say that this episode is an improvement on last week's episode.
Really?
Because there are at least 2 jokes that I laughed out loud at.
Okay.
Which is more than I can say about last week's episode. Last week's episode was just last week's episode ended, and I think part of me thought that I had watched both episodes already. And then I was like, nope, it's only been about 30, 40 minutes. This is just long and boring. So I also wrote this Caleb and Ryan storyline is super annoying, but it's probably the least frustrating story in this episode. And then I followed it with, oh, wait, there was a heart attack. I spoke too soon.
Here's the one person here's the one person that Ryan cannot deck, right? He can't just punch him.
I mean, I'd be okay with seeing that happen.
I mean, of course you would, but Ryan does not have that kind of goodwill with Kirsten yet.
No, Caleb is a piece of trash right now, though. I've never liked Caleb. I know you're way more of Team Caleb than I've ever been, but
I don't know about what. Really? Have I said that before?
Have you said that Caleb's one of your favorite characters? I'm pretty sure you've said.
Caleb as a concept is one of my favorite characters. Doesn't mean that I also love that act because he will go on to play basically the same person in Ugly Betty.
Okay, yeah.
And also in Ugly Betty, he just dies in the middle of the series.
Oh boy, does he die in this show before I get to the end? Yay!
You need to cut this.
Yay!
You need to cut this
Caleb.
out.
Nope, this is staying so long, Caleb. Na 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 na. Hey, goodbye.
I forgot who I was. Wow. Well, how many episodes are we in? Right? I haven't given you. This is your first. Spoiler.
I was gonna say this is your first slip up, and I'm sure that someone would have accidentally spoiled for me that Caleb George died. The 90-year-old man who had a heart attack in season 2 dies before the show's over.
16-year-old daughter.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
I feel bad for Lindsay's mother who had to, suffer through Caleb flopping around on top of her
like a fish pulled out of the lake.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Honestly, we'll end with the Zach Seth.
Yeah,
and
man,
Summer
I'm so mad at myself.
So Caleb and Ryan are just at each other's throats this episode. Suddenly, here's the thing that gets me kind of frustrated with this storyline is that I feel like Ryan has more than proved himself multiple times in front of Caleb that he barely takes advantage of fucking anything with the Coens ever. And Caleb is still just leeching off of all of our food and living for free in our house. It's just
he's eating our food. And
it's
living.
just
that was the most unhinged thing that he could have said. It was you're just eating our food and sleeping with our women. And
he's so frustratingly unhinged. And I was just this is annoyingly stupid to me. Yeah,
he sounds like a robber baron talking about the Irish.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just it's so dumb. And meanwhile, all Ryan has done this entire time has been hey, show your 16-year-old estranged daughter that you give a fuck about her at all. Just the slightest hint. So then he takes her to dinner to hang out with Caleb to prove that Caleb's a good dude. And Caleb just like instantaneously is like, you're just here to leech money off me. Like it's so fucking frustrating. And then Ryan informs Kirsten of how Lindsay was treated at that dinner, and that's when Kirsten decides to have the deadly dinner party in which Caleb has a heart attack.
In which Ryan may or may not have caused the heart attack.
I think years of aggression caused the heart attack.
Years of aggression and eating rich food and being a 90-year-old man.
Yeah, no, I think Ryan just got fed up with being treated like Ryan should get a goddamn medal for how cool, calm, and collected he's been up until this point with Caleb. Like, and honestly, has Ryan done anything worse than what Sandy has put that man through for the last like 18, 19, 20 years? Yeah. Not really. It's about on par. I think that was just life catching up with him. But that's where we end up here. Caleb has his heart attack. Lindsay feels like she almost lost the father that she barely knew. And they come to an agreement. And Ryan slowly steps out into the shadows to give them space to bond as father and daughter. Certainly not a decision that will fuck up Lindsay for life.
A class act, Ryan.
Yeah, one of the best. As far as the Rebecca, Sandy, Kirsten storyline goes, Sandy is now hiding Rebecca in his new offices. Kirsten is constantly saying that she wants to go spruce the place up, and he's explaining that he doesn't need it spruced up. He likes the blandness of where he works to keep Rebecca hidden. Now, here's the thing with Sandy Kirsten plot lines that is always, I feel like, yes, you're right. They are doing a plot that they should have never done in the first place. There's no reason that they should have ever gone down this route. The one thing that they do have, and I'm sure that, I feel like they've already leaned on it a little bit. I'm sure they'll lean on it even more, is that Sandy always has the benefit of, I am a lawyer and this is I have to have lawyer-client confidentiality. You know what I mean? So it's like, look, I can't tell you that this person who everyone thinks is dead is alive because it's my client. And like, that is confidential information.
Yeah.
Still not great. Like, it's not like if he told her that it would suddenly be in the fucking Newport Gazette or whatever. Like, but he always has that as an excuse to lean on. And she actually yells about that at him in this in a later episode about like, don't give me that. Like, you could have told me a million different ways. But at the end of the episode, Kirsten decides that she's going to surprise Sandy while they're all waiting for her for dinner. She's going to swing by the office and spruce it up for him to find in the morning. And when she walks in, a half-naked Rebecca comes out of her bedroom saying, Sandy, is that you? And then they stare at each other. Credits. Dun, dun, dun. We've ended on credits with Rebecca twice now, which is like very frustrating because this is a character that I know won't be here in about 3 more episodes. I don't think Rebecca is here to stay.
I feel like Rebecca needs to be like, this is going to sound so shitty. Rebecca needs to be a bigger actress for us to warrant like.
No one knows who this is. No one gives a shit who she is. Like,
she needs to be like Valerie Bertinelli, right? Like, yeah. I would have loved a Valerie Bertinelli. I would have loved a Femke Jensen. Like, I think that would have been really like stunt casting.
There's a ton of great options. They went with just generic woman number 7. Yeah. I heard they're casting the OC. Cool. You got the job. You got the job.
You're gonna be a character that people will hate.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. I feel like we always bring this back to Gilmore Girls, but it's the best reference point I have.
Sure.
Is Rebecca to OC fans similar to what April is to Gilmore Girls fans, where it's like April herself hasn't done anything wrong, but because she represents a storyline that everyone universally hated, everyone just comes raining shit down on that character?
I'm not in the OC zeitgeist the way I am with the OC fandom and the way that I am with the Gilmore fandom. Um, it was also a number of things, right? So like the April stuff, like April came at the end of season 5, towards the end of season 5,
It's season
when
6. It was the end of season
it was
6.
7. 7 is the one without the
Se-
Paladinos.
yeah, seven's the one without the Paladinos. So it was
So
right around season 6, towards the very end. There was
Yeah.
always that rumor that it was like she just threw that in there to fuck over whoever took over the show
Yeah.
after that, which I don't think is true. I genuinely don't think that. I think that she had some plan for April.
Because they didn't know. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
It was so unknown, at least to the cast. It was so unknown. At that point, like it was like it was kind of like a back door, like it's a trap door where like, okay, if I do end up taking this over, I know how I'll resolve it, in the next season. But the thing about it is like it's comes with the departure of the Paladinos at the end of 6 and into 7. So people already upset that the Paladinos left, like that makes sense. This doesn't make sense for season 2, for like being 9 episodes into 10 episodes now into season 2. And also, like, for me personally, not a character, not a Nardini, not a Darth Nardini, as they say at Gilmore Guys. Not like, I hate this plot line specifically because of how the way that like Sandy and Kirsten react to it, and we don't, and the way it's just like, you don't need to do that to us, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't need to do that to us, especially when like you're focusing on the core 4. The 4 kids are so unstable. Like one is literally like a criminal who
may have just killed an old man with rage, but
exactly may have just killed an old man with rage, like literally a criminal. Seth is an asshole. Marissa's awful. Summer is probably the best out of the
Summer's
4.
the only somewhat likable one. So let me ask you this question, and then we'll dive into the Zach, Seth, and Summer side of things.
Mm-hmm.
You've referred to this last week. You referred to this plot line as the jump the shark moment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only reason I want to push back on that as someone who doesn't know any information whatsoever is usually the jump the shark moment also is like the moment where the show is damaged beyond repair. Are the good times over for the OC from this point on, or does it recover from this Rebecca storyline, at least to salvage season 2 a little bit?
I feel like we jump the shark and they stick the landing barely.
Okay.
Because the real jumping of the shark happens at the end of 3.
Okay. That's what I was under the impression.
I think you know what that is.
Yeah, no, I have a pretty good idea. Or at least, I guess, here's what I'm going to say with having zero knowledge beyond one major thing. So spoiler alerts if you've somehow avoided this information that I, the person who's never watched the OC, has watched. I am aware that Marissa dies at the end of season 3.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume in that situation, if season 3 is a good season that ends with that.
It's not. I hate season 3.
Okay, so it's not even a good season. I was going to say, I feel like the jumping the shark moment would almost be to continue beyond that point. As opposed to using...
That's the thing.
Yeah, like it's like you could use that. You could use that as a great way to tie up everything. I'm about to spoil the ending of Dawson's Creek, but like, fucking Katie Holmes dies at the end of Dawson's Creek. Like, they didn't do another season afterwards without like one of the main advertising characters of the show. It's oftentimes when that happens, Scrubs, That 70s Show, other things that aren't sitcoms, like when they remove some of the main characters and then keep going, it's the end of the show. Like, it's just like that next season ends up being the final season because people are like, why? Like, you had this moment that ties everything together. You could tie everything that the OC is up in the death of Marissa to like decide to continue to do another season after that. You're just like, but why?
Well, yeah, because they were trying to shoehorn also like a love interest for Ryan in season 4 that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. I haven't seen that, but I'm thinking of That 70s Show when they got rid of Topher Grace and then just try to find a new love interest for Donna, as if we didn't just watch
Seth Meyers' brother.
With Seth Meyers, like as if we didn't just watch 6 seasons being heavily invested in the Donna the Donna Eric storyline. You're like, what is this? Like, why do this? Where, like, again, I don't know, but my understanding would also be that season 3 would be their senior year. I'm guessing. So it's like, man, all of that seems to fall together. Like, they're graduating high school. Ryan does not have to stay at the OC anymore. The number one thing that kept him in the OC was this girl who died. Like, you could have this, like, kind of tragic ending to this show of, like, the death of a character, and that Ryan does go back to Chino, but maybe as a better person from the experiences that he's lived over the last 3 years. To just be like, all right, well, back to the wacky fun of the OC for like another season after that. Just he's like, how do you end this properly now? Like,
season 4 is like the Deathly Hollows of Harry Potter.
Okay.
Because it's like, it takes everybody out of the school, which it's like, what do you do when like all the 6 books prior to that were them in the school, and then the 7th one is like all of a sudden they're not in the school anymore until like the very last battle.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean? And so it becomes
But I feel like
more...
it works in Harry Potter. I didn't feel like that hurt Harry Potter. I feel like it hurts a show that is built around high school drama.
True. and it works because you've had 6 books, you know, years and decades and
building up to this moment.
Exactly.
Like,
we all know it's coming, but it like this is something that we didn't see coming in, at least, you know, no one saw coming with the end of Marissa.
Meanwhile, in New Jersey...
So, Marissa, what talking points do you want to hit on in this week's episode?
Well, Jackie, let's talk about how the film addresses the patriarchy. Ooh, and representation of marginalized people. Ooh, and even philosophical ramifications of good versus evil in horror.
We can point out the triangle boobs, talk about the blood splatter, and the practical effects. And also the male gaze?
My gaze at the males.
Hi-yo! From feminism to fangirling, the Jersey Ghouls cover all the bases of horror from a woman's perspective.
New episodes are uploaded every other Sunday.
Just search Jersey Ghouls to find us on social media and your favorite podcasting app.
I want to get back to... I really want to save my hatred for 4 when we get to 4.
Okay, fair enough.
But what I will say is that, like, the reason why I say that this jumps the shark, and not in the classical definition that you mentioned, but like it jumps the shark and sticks the landing barely, because there's stuff coming at the end of 2 besides the spoiler that I just gave you, the huge spoiler that I just gave you. But there's stuff coming at the end of 2 that, like, you can look back on these episodes and be like, this makes sense. This kind of makes sense that there are unresolved things that are happening.
Yeah.
And that to me is really interesting, even though frustrating, but still very interesting, because when you get into 3, there's so much happening, and it's so even more dramatic.
All right. I'm ready for this. I'm glad that season 4 is like 12 episodes or some shit, though.
Yeah.
The last thing that we have to talk about is actually the only storyline that gave me any smiles or laughs, which is the Zach Seth writing a comic about Summer as a superhero. And I have to say, the highlight of this episode is Summer actually does look insanely cute when she shows up in the costume that she's designed for the character for Seth the Drawer. I was like, God damn it. Like, I don't want her to end up with Seth, but I do want Summer to be happy. Like, I just want Summer to find happiness. She's just a very delightful character, and I can't believe that I absolutely hated her for the first 10 episodes. The 180 that they've done with this character's persona is phenomenal.
I'm going to make a prediction. She will be your favorite character by the end of the series.
I mean, she kind of already is right now. Everyone else sucks.
But, like, it will just get better and better. Like,
okay.
Her arc, her development, like, if they made a show about the OC, if they redid the OC now and only brought back Summer, that would make sense to me. Like,
okay.
I mean, it could make sense that you'd have to bring back Ryan, right?
There we go.
Extent.
Season 5. It's
yeah.
I got the name for it. Sorry. Season 5 of the OC, Summer's End. Summer comes back. Summer
No.
has been given a terminal disease and is coming back for her last years on life to enjoy her childhood memories at the OC.
She goes to the mall. She goes to the mall and it's closing.
Yeah, no. So there's two jokes that got pretty big laughs out of me. First joke is that the phone is ringing and Seth tries to Jedi mind trick the phone into his hand from across the bed. And I only laugh because, as any nerdy kid, there's always a moment where you just
You've
are
always
like,
tried it.
can I make this happen? And then this, I don't even know if it's supposed to be funny, but I laughed so hard. Is that there's this moment towards the end where Seth and Summer are getting dangerously close to each other,
Mm-hmm.
and they come to the conclusion that being together in such close proximity is not a good idea, and that for Summer's relationship with Zach, they really need to split apart a little bit, let Seth do his thing, let Zach and Summer do their thing. And then Zach bursts through the door like a jolly puppy dog. And he's just like, guys, great news. Someone's interested in our comic. We got to go to San Diego next week. All three of us. Hells yeah. Like, it's like,
Hells yeah, we're gonna be in close quarters. Long nights.
like, it's really funny, but also it's hilarious because it's like, this is not how comic books work. Like,
Seth,
you just,
I'm gonna need you to nail Summer.
yeah, like, it's like you cannot, there is no world where two high schoolers have a couple of sketches and a rough outline of what a comic is and just get a meeting with a publisher that's
No,
interested
well,
in
here's
them.
the thing. I push back on that because in the world of the OC, the privilege, like
That is true. He's got
his dad is a
connections.
senator, right? Like his dad
Yeah.
is a congressman, some sort of government person. It's like, yeah, my dad's intern's dad is blah blah blah. I'm like, that's totally how it works, though. Like these are not white people problems. These are white people privileges. These are
Yeah.
white people's benefits.
You know, that's why we should just name the podcast WPP, because those WPPs can change at
Yeah.
a drop of a hat.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, this sets us up for next week's road trip episode.
Another ill-fated road trip to San Diego.
It's not great, Joe. It's not great what's happening here in the OC.
I also love that they're like, we're going to San Diego because that's where Comic-Con is, right?
Yep.
And-
I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, this is not an accident. So here's the other thing that we need to talk about real quick, though, Joe. Whatever happened in the first 8 episodes of this show where there was like 8 songs an episode and like we were getting these great live performances by bands, those days seem to be gone and dead, Joe, because there was 2 songs in this episode.
Yeah.
2 forgettable ass songs. Cartwheels by the Reindeer Section, which played when Summer modeled for Seth, and Reasons Why by Rachel Yamagata that played when Alex and Marissa hold hands for the first time. And for the song of the episode, I just wrote, through process of elimination, let's just give it to Reason Why. Like, I have no clue. I'm like, none of these, I could not hum you a note of either song that played in this episode.
No, the song of the episode is California by Phantom Planet.
Yes. Ooh, you know what? That might be the song of next week as well, because we are definitely, the days of me being super excited that Modest Mouse showed up and played 3 songs or the Killers are there is like long over.
Yeah. It also, like, I keep forgetting that, like, this was totally a thing that they did in early 2000s television, especially network, like, especially these types of shows, right? Where it's like you see the performer coming up and they're doing their soulful cover, and then, like, you know, drama is happening with it like literal the music is diegetically inserted into the scene.
Yeah.
Like, I keep thinking about Charmed with P3 and, like, you know, Orgy being there, like doing some sort of cover of doing some sort of, like, you know, hard rock thing. Then you have like One Tree Hill doing this. They did it once on Gilmore Girls, and I'm pretty sure it's because the network told Palladino that she had to do it, but they only did it once. It was Spring Break in season 4 where they had the Strokes on. And yeah, it's just, it is delightful. But I needed a little bit more in this episode. They were really just building up for the for the up, because I think this season is the season we get the Beckisode. I just don't know which episode it is.
Well, I mean, we're closer to the end than the beginning after next week, so it's sooner rather than later, I guess. Joe, as we know, there's a strike happening. We're trying not to promote too much movie or television, certainly not from a major studio stance, which is why I don't feel bad about talking about the movie that I am going to briefly mention. I was a little late to the party, but I finally watched Barbarian. And man, that movie, I don't know if I liked it or not, but I have not stopped thinking about it. So major points for that.
Yeah, I love Justin Long. Like, I just want Justin Long to like be behind me and whisper in my ear, "What's up, faggot?"
All right, well then,
you can cut that out if you want, but
No.
but like it's. I was like, why, Justin Long? What are you doing? Why are you in another horror movie? Why are you in another like weird ass horror movie?
Yeah, it's a
Walrus,
strange
like
movie.
Tusk wasn't enough.
He's in a movie that I saw at a film festival that's fantastic
Mhm.
called The Wave. I want to say that was the name of it. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure it was called The Wave. And it was like literally the whole movie is that he is on a bad drug trip for the entire duration of the movie. And it like goes into like eternal sunshine of the spotless mind level abstract cinema as he's like trying to figure out what happened the night before while still feeling all the effects of being drugged.
Mhm.
I don't remember too much about it. I saw it 5 years ago at the Fantastic Film Festival in a private critics screening. Like it was me and 3 other people at 8 a.m. in the theater before it was open to the public. But I remember really liking it like quite a bit. I
Nice.
think it's available to like rent now all these years later. But yeah, he makes weird movie choices and I support them.
My is another book.
All right. Mine will be a book next week, I promise.
So mine is it's a new cookbook that came out from a TikToker that I adore named B. Dylan Hollis. He's the guy on TikTok who is making like weird baking recipes from like the 1900s, from the Depression era, and it was one of those like, we started in the pandemic. Basically going through an old recipe book and just like looking at like recipes for like peanut butter bread, and it doesn't have any eggs or it doesn't have any eggs or butter. It's just like peanut butter. It's a Depression era recipe. And so he finally released a cookbook compiling like his favorite recipes from every decade from 1900 to the 1980s.
Okay.
And it's like, he has one recipe in here that's like, it's called like a pork cake or whatever. It's like made from ground pork, and it's like a fruit cake. And a lot of these recipes are really cool. I mainly did it because he's just like an adorable twink and he's gay, and I will support I will do just about anything for an adorable twink. But it is a beautiful book. It's very well done. It's low-key cringe that like he started on TikTok, but I also like he's also very he's very funny and he's very endearing, and his jokes are amazing because he'll just make like he'll just make the most like he'll just insert like a gay like joke in there, and you blink and you miss it. It's like, you're filled with cream. Who doesn't want to be filled with cream? And it's just delightful. So I'm glad to have this book, and I can't wait to start making some of the strangest recipes from this book.
I can't wait for you to send me pictures of the strange recipes that you've found.
Well, I'm going to
from that
send
book.
you the recipe for the pork cake because I actually think I feel like there's a lot. This is not a read. It's not a read, Matt. But I feel like there's like things in here that like your Delco sensibility would would appreciate.
All right, I'll take it. Listen. I enjoy cooking. I do. I actually
Yeah.
legitimately enjoy cooking. I mean, I'm not like a master chef in any way, shape, or form.
Sure,
But
sure,
like
sure.
when people spend the night at my house, I make them like a bunch of eggs in the basket breakfast meals, or make them pancakes or
Aw,
French
how
toast
V
or
for
whatever.
Vendetta of you.
Yes, I know. But anyway, Joe, one thing that's not cooking for me is any interest in these plot lines that are happening on the OC.
Yes.
But I think we get some light at the end of the tunnel, as it seems like most of these storylines are wrapping up next week. Fingers crossed, and hopefully for the remainder of this season, for those last 11 episodes, they can get back to what I was loving in these first couple, the first like 8 episodes. I just want drama-free.
I just want to get back to the good old days.
Yeah, just for the good old days of season 2, episodes 2 through 8.
Yeah.
But here we go, Joe. We'll be back next week with more of these Newport kids and their goddamn white people problems.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.